Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. How is everybody doing out there? I'm Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan here, and I'm so excited to be back here to talk some awesome anime, and not just any anime, an anime that's so colossal, it's so titanic, it's so uh, attackish. Okay, I ruined everything. Yes, we're gonna talk about Attack on Titan, the final season. So excited. Chapter 83, Pride. We're back here to talk about our coverage of Attack on Titan. Really excited. Amateur Otaku, awesome. If you love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, please make sure to click on the like button and subscribe, and make sure you click on the bell for notifications so you do not miss any single episode and any single coverage that we do on Attack on Titan, the final season. There's only 5 episodes. There's only 4 episodes left after today. So stay tuned so you do not miss any single episode and coverage. Also, we cover My Hero Academia manga, My Hero Vigilantes. We just did our second recording for our coverage of Doron Doron, the new manga that came out. That's actually super cool. And we have a lot more stuff coming soon, more commentary tracks and madness. But of course, today we're here to talk Attack on Titan. So welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. I'm Brandon, and I'm joined by the amazing novice cinephile, Mike.
Give your hearts, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me back on, Brandon. It's a blast.
Come on, man. We miss you. We missed you a lot the last 2 weeks, but life gets in the way. I wouldn't be surprised if you just went with the rumbling. Were you hanging out on a Colossal Titan's shoulder? Is that what happened?
You know, I was stuck in the pathways with Eren and Zeke for it felt like an eternity, but
Wow.
it was a matter of a couple weeks, I guess. So
Look at you bringing the puns.
Hey, I get it from the best, isn't that right?
The Punisher Titan, Isaac Wolf. What's up, bro?
So I have to ask, you haven't recovered from last night's, haven't you?
We're not gonna do this today, Isaac. Okay. Okay. So you know what? I'm gonna give it to Isaac.
Spoilers! I'm publishing it on Thursday.
And what Isaac is talking about publishing, and okay, guys, this is why you don't read comments in the middle of a live show, because Perp does something like this, and he had a great day today. I hope it's not a deadly. You know what? I don't know what to say to that. So that's why you don't read live comments. But
I know that that's the joke. But I'm sure there was some kid trying to do a summoning jutsu, and they did the same thing 12 years ago with Naruto.
Yes. Yes. And grown adults that still do it. I mean, maybe that's just me watching Teen Wolf. So, Attack on Titan, the final season. Great stuff here.
You never talked about what I was talking about.
Because I thought you would forget. But what Isaac's talking about is that we did a commentary track for the, I don't know what to call it, Ninja Resurrection, which is something, I don't know what to say. It was weird, and it was disturbing, and it was interesting, but it was horrible. And if you loved listening to me lose my mind during End of Evangelion, I think you'll like the commentary track for Ninja Resurrection, which for some reason, I don't know, it's a different side of me. And Isaac loves to bring that out. So, Isaac, I hate you. We did Ninja Resurrection. It finally happened. You're going to see the commentary track soon, so keep an eye out on the podcast channel. And damn it, Mike. But yes, let's jump in. Attack on Titan, Chapter 83, Pride. Let's go around and find out what the thoughts were. Isaac, let's start with you. What were your thoughts, takeaways from this episode?
It was certainly a prideful event, that's for certain.
Okay. Can we get an honest? Is that really all you got?
No. In all honesty, I think it was a great episode. It's looking at from the perspective of being if I were being anime only, I would watch that season, in particular in two scenes, and you go, wait, what? What's going on? Kind of moments, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
It does.
I think
It does.
I think you both know what parts I'm talking about. Also,
Well, this is a spoiler cast, so I'd like for you to just tell us what your thoughts are outright.
when you thought that Jean was getting getting eaten, and when Armin was about to sacrifice himself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This episode, I really dug it. Is this? I could be wrong. Is this the first episode where Eren and Zeke weren't featured for this season?
No, like we don't see Eren or Zeke the last two episodes either.
Okay. Yeah,
we have this. This is a third episode that we do not see him at all.
This is the first time I actually noticed, I guess, which is crazy that we went 3 weeks.
Well, the interesting thing is like we talked about the last episode, which is very interesting, that the whole thing about how all these things are happening in Paratus, and certain parts of it and areas feel like business as usual to a degree, right? But in the background, you have the rumbling. Like you have the glimpses of those colossals just walking past, right? So it's like, yes, all this is happening, but this is still going on, right? So that's kind of like your Eren or Zeke hat off. The fact that yes, these characters are still alive somewhere. We just don't need them for this story beat, right?
Yeah, for sure. This episode is interesting though, because the idea of everything going on with Falco and Connie, and like the tension and drama there. But then you also have the weird comic relief with Annie in this episode. There's a lot of moments that just really stand out. The epic shot at the end where they're gonna go team up with Reiner is just it makes you really hyped, right? This was like that transition chapter we talk about in our My Hero reviews of like, it's that one chapter in the story where we're gearing up for the upcoming battle, and then the next one is when all hell breaks loose. And these last 3 episodes, really, last couple episodes, it's been a small lull in the sense that we are gearing up for what's coming. So this is the last time we're going to get some of those character moments, right? And so I just think they resolved it really well, like resolving the whole thing with Connie and his mother, a plot line that's been with Connie's character for so long, and then having Armin kind of step up and basically give him an ultimatum. Either I'm going to die, or you're going to just basically give up all hope on your mother. And for Armin to basically be like, hey, it was your call. I was totally willing to give myself up to save your mom. It's just like, that's why Armin's the best bro in the entire series.
Yeah.
Like, everybody needs a homie like Armin.
Yes. So, you guys are going to be surprised on this. I found this to be the weakest episode of the season.
I mean, yeah.
But
that
in a
doesn't
sense,
say much considering the quality of the season.
Right, but what I mean by that is, like, to me, this one felt weak. Where I didn't feel the scenes. I didn't feel the direction. Like, not that it was lacking. Maybe if I watch it 1 or 2 more times, I'll get more into it. But I think I'm suffering from the high of those last big episodes, right? You know how, I mean, not that I do drugs, but you know how when you have the excitement of everything that's going on, the rumbling, the members of the future, like this season started punching your face, right? And then have these 3 episodes that kind of lull down. They're getting ready to rev up, but I felt that there were certain scenes that I needed to be there that weren't there. And I lost a lot of connectivity to the characters, especially how it starts, how it ended, and stuff like that. Yes, the moments with Annie were great. The moments with Connie and Jean are good. But I feel that I think what affected the episode for me is how all the scenes were organized to a degree, right? Like how many people actually stayed till the credit scenes of last episode to see um to see Hinge and Levi. You know what I mean? And the fact that this episode literally starts with them, it makes you think, okay, did we just start out of nowhere? Could I kind of maybe wanted Levi and Hange to have half an episode where all that happened as opposed to it being the tail end of the previous one?
Yeah.
Because I felt that narratively it would have worked a little bit better. Um, but I think the biggest thing to me is that we never get an emotional resolution of we're going to fight for the world. Like yes, Hinge and Levi have made their mind. Yes, Magath and Pike have an idea that they should do something, right? But everybody else has given up. So where was that moment where it made sense for Armin, Jean, and Mikasa to fight? I feel we never got it.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, we are to assume that there was a communicado, right, from Hange and Levi, but that should have been in the text. That should have been, we should have seen it coming, not because we know who the characters are, but because it's part of their arc. And I felt we never got that because the all we got is these characters defeated, and then now these characters are charging in. So, and trust me, I'm not typically the guy to be very critical about stuff like this, but I felt that's why this episode kind of went like, why?
I'm with you in that sense. It's one of the reasons, like Attack on Titan. I've posted this on Twitter a million times. It's one of the greatest stories I've ever experienced.
Right.
But I'm also the first guy to say, as we get to its conclusion, things start to fall apart for me. And I'm not going to get into things that happen past this point in the story, but it's those cracks that you start to see right here, right? Of these characters have a specific motivation.
Right.
Like unlike Eren, we don't really explain why they end up on this side of things or why they decide to act on this thing. Right. And yeah, this is that first step to some of my grievances with the series. Again, I still love Attack on Titan, but it's as how many episodes are left? Like what, 4 or 5?
We got another 4, and that's it.
Yeah, so it's a lot to resolve in 4 episodes, and not everything might not hit for all people once we get to the conclusion of this story. And yeah, I get where you're coming from with this being the weakest of the season. That's no shame though, because this season has been an absolute banger. You know, like this is a 7 out of 10 episode for me. I would say if I'm like ranking it on that critic scale, where it's not terrible, not great or anything, but it's essentially a filler episode, right? Like Isaac and I were talking in our My Hero Academia review, which I think goes up tomorrow. Not spoiling plot points of that, but in that chapter,
it comes up tomorrow, yeah, or should I say later today, depending on the time zones.
It's a very setup heavy chapter. Now, what it's setting up is incredible, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if this was like half of an episode and then we got to the thing, it would be better. Or if this was half of that My Hero chapter connected to another chapter, next week's chapter, it'd be 10 times better. And so it's a pacing thing. Is it necessary? No, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like you see the preview for next episode and it's like, okay, you got me back. We had a little lull, the calm before the storm, but I am 100% ready to go for the next part of the story.
I think what affected me the most, and I agree with you. Like I like how it finally feels like we're moving towards something now, as opposed to the last couple of episodes, right? And that's not to say that there weren't a lot of. I agree with you, Perp. That's a very good point, and it is one of the strongest points because And the funny thing is, I like how you mentioned before Avengers Assembled, Perp, because the one thing that stands out with that, with all of these characters, in particular, these characters coming together, it's a mixture of opposing forces joining for a common enemy, but also is the original family members are coming back home. Because you got to figure it's not just the fact that it's Marlians and warrior candidates coming together, is that that original group of scouts is coming together, you know, and it's them against the world or whatever it is going on. Um, but going back to why this episode also hurt me a lot was because I love these characters so much, or I like the story enough or a lot that I felt that this episode hurt the characters. Like it wasn't fair to them. You know what I mean? Like I wanted those characters to mean more, but like you said, a lot of things are so Eren centric. At least now that's kind of like the effects of it, right?
Yeah,
And
like you think discovering Annie would be a big deal. Not we run into her at like a fair. Or
it was a
whatever
big
happened.
cliffhanger, right? It was a big cliffhanger,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like, like I enjoy like the reveal, like when she's eating pie, like right there. It
Mhm.
was cool, but like it's one of those moments like, oh, that's cool, but I kind of wanted it to be maybe bigger or better. Or
This is a character where in the manga, I believe it was like what, like 6 years since Annie was featured in the story in any meaningful way when she comes back.
yeah,
And I know we had her in the previous episode, which was great, but like for her to interact with Armin and Connie, and it's basically played as a gag, like a Marvel level gag.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like it made
Whether
me
that's
chuckle
good or
in
down, whether
yeah,
that's good or bad, right?
yeah, it makes me chuckle in the moment, but it's like, I kind of wish he was the Mandarin, right? Or I kind of wish
Yeah,
this. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's fine, but for a character as important as Annie,
yeah.
that was probably not the way I would have wanted to reveal her coming
Yes,
back to our
yes,
main cast.
yeah,
But again, it's a gripe, a minor gripe. It'll probably work itself out as we move forward. But it was just, yeah, it makes for a really weird point in the story where Eren literally just said, I'm gonna wipe out the entire world like 3 episodes ago, and we're just walking around town eating pie. It's just
yeah.
kind of strange as a pacing thing.
But also,
Well, you need a comedy relief moments at time, considering how sour and it just sort of looked like, oh shit here. Yeah, but you sometimes need something that can. You get what I mean.
I get you what you're saying. You need to have like a moment of levity in the story, but Annie's not that character. You know, like that's
right.
just that was a very Sasha moment, not an Annie moment. And so
True.
that's
Good
why
point.
for me
True.
it just felt a little out of place. Like stuff like that has happened in Attack on Titan. Again, that's 90% of Sasha's character.
Yes.
But for it to come from Annie was just like, that's a choice, guys. That's definitely a choice.
So if you guys were to pick one highlight of the episode, what would you pick? Like that's like your biggest point.
Isaac, I'm gonna let you go first.
Honestly,
Because we can't talk
it was-
talk only about the bad things, right? Go, Isaac.
Honestly, it was either one of the twos or them in noticing, and because it was just kind of a what the heck, as in moment they just gave me a chuckle, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
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 For me, there's a lot of things there's a lot of things I did enjoy about this episode. I know we're kind of dwelling on the negative side, but like I enjoyed Gene's story. I enjoyed the inner turmoil that Connie was experiencing, like second guessing himself.
Yes.
Like, because we know Connie's not a murderer, at least, for Falco. He's killed a ton of Titans, but
no, and he's killed. No, and remember, they've all killed people too, because that was part of the plot points of season 3. of them understanding that it's going to come to that point where they do have to take lives.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I feel like that was all really good. Like the character stuff I did enjoy. It may have been misplaced. Like maybe it should have been earlier in the season, maybe even in last season, having some of those character beats pop up. But I still enjoyed the content itself, even if it was
Yes.
paced a little weird.
Yeah. So what I like the most is the fact that we are getting that we still have we're getting more sides of the exploration of the whole cult mentality of the Jaegerists, and how they exemplify the cycle of violence and war and horribleness that has spawned from the Eldians to the world because of the power of the Titans, right? So I like that we're seeing a lot of that, because not just the whole thing about the not in this case, not about the lies of what freedom is that Flock is using with Eren's name, right? Because one of the biggest things with Flock was the fact that he's using Eren's rumbling as an excuse to promote oppressing freedom and slavery, kind of, right? Because you either join us or you're dead, right?
Yeah.
So, which is not the freedom that Eren's fighting for, which it's a point that I really want them to hit home towards the end, because that's the whole reason Eren's doing this. He's doing this for this particular view of freedom that we've talked ad nauseum, which I'm not going to go on a rant on it right now. But what I like about this chapter, that I kind of, now that I hear you guys talking about the whole thing about eating pie, the jokes and all that, right? It makes me think how subversely, and now maybe I appreciate the episode a bit more, is the fact that what we're seeing is the lie of happiness that is a product of this xenophobic mentality. Because the only reason everybody's eating, having a good time, is because they think, oh, Eren's going to kill everybody, so we're going to be fine. Eren's going to kill the other. You know what I mean? Eren's going to. So there's no love about it. There's no, like, that moment in time where we were like, oh no, the world's going to die. It's like they don't care anymore. And then you see all these people just having a good time, it's like a festival, or like everybody just having a normal day. And then you see the horribleness of the truth, which is when you see Flock preparing to execute Yelena and Onyankopon is his name. I think I said that right. Yeah,
you actually nailed it, and I'm impressed because I was so afraid to say this guy's name the entire episode.
No, Onyankopon. Yay! But and then not only that, the brilliance of the direction is still there, which I feel bad now that I said, because now I see it more. Is that when you see Flock talking, did you guys catch that you can hear everybody talking in xenophobia and slurs and saying kill the Marleyan, and like you're sealing this hatred to the other race, which is the same thing that Marley was doing. And you kind of see like this cycle just is going to continue to repeat itself, because people continue to follow people instead of following ideas of what's right and wrong. They're just following what's the easiest thing because they're hurt, because they have this hatred. Everything's being fueled by hatred, and how I like how you kind of see the cycle going on and on. And this is why I wanted more of Gene's inner struggle, because he was the key of us seeing, okay, what happens when you have to make the choice of following or not, which you kind of see a little bit after we see him at the end of the episode, right? Like he feels he couldn't live with himself or whatever. But I kind of wanted more of that, because that goes to the heart of the issues that we've been talking about since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So I really like that they're putting a lot of effort to talk about that, and making Flock be a more detestable guy. And
that's an interesting interpretation of Flock's character, because until Eren puts this guy in his place, as far as like reading this, it's like, is this Eren's views? Is we know Eren's motive of freedom, all that stuff, like you said, we're not getting into today. But it's like, yeah, you're gonna just wipe out women, children, the innocent because of reasons. And that's something that was always kind of strange to me about Eren's character. But yeah, that the idea that Flock is kind of twisting his words to fit his own narrative is not a way I read that when it happened in the book. So that's pretty interesting. But I agree. That's why this episode could be a little frustrating, because the recipe is there. Like, all the ingredients are there to make a fantastic episode. Because there's like Hanji and Levi, then you have Armin and Connie, then you have Jean and Flock. Those are 3 episodes right there that could have been fantastic, but instead they kind of get smushed into each other, and none of them gets a chance to really breathe or be fleshed out in the way that they probably needed to.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the most irritating part of this episode, is that the making of something truly great is there. You just don't quite hit the mark.
And I don't want to sound ungrateful with everything awesome that we're getting also, but there's certain manga moments that I'm missing now. You know, like I don't know, but because I don't know if you guys noticed, but we've omitted at least a chapter or 2 now from the manga. So
is it that they were cut, or are they going to restructure it and they might
we don't
come
know
into play later?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're cut for the sake of the fact that we only have 4 episodes left, unless we're getting extended episodes. Like one of the things that Isaac and I were talking about at the end of our Demon Slayer Entertainment District review was that one of the brilliant things that Demon Slayer did is that because they called it an arc, they didn't call it a season, they called it an arc. It kind of justified them deciding how long each episode was going to be. And some episodes are indeed significantly longer than others. So they kind of pulled like one of those series on Amazon where you have episodes that will last 30 minutes, but then you have the other one that will last 50. You know, they did that on Demon Slayer, where the first episode is like 45 minutes long. Then you have regular 24-minute episodes, but then the last episode is like an hour. Which
it's funny because I was literally talking to Isaac about that. Like, was it yesterday or so? About how I started Demon Slayer. I started that arc, and then
it was yesterday.
Yeah, I started that arc, and then I saw that the episode was like 50 minutes long, and I'm just like, oh crap, I don't have time to watch this episode because I only had like 30 minutes. I'm like, I got 30 minutes, I can watch Demon Slayer. Yep. And I saw the episode was an hour. I'm like, what the heck happened? When did these get so long?
Which leads me to believe that I would love them to kind of do that as we reach the end, mainly because as a manga reader, I am going to say, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm kind of concerned now because of where we're at now and how much we have left. Yeah. Unless we see extended episodes as we get closer towards the end. I personally don't like the idea of them ending it in a movie that's not going to come out for another 2 years, because personally, I think that's going to be stupid.
Oh, God,
especially when they've announced the final season, 2 years ago, calling it the final season,
and then cut it in half.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. So I don't see why they would do this, because I think that's the kind of thing that just makes fans angry. Especially if you're gonna put the movie behind a movie ticket. That was just, it's like kind of somewhat unacceptable, right?
It would have to be like Avatar: The Last Airbender. The final episode was technically 4 episodes. It was a mini movie. They even sold it on DVD as a movie, but it still aired on the network, the same as all the other episodes.
Right.
So I feel like
as a finale, right? Similar to Game of Thrones, where like the last couple of seasons you had like hour and a half episodes, every episode, right?
Yeah. So I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled something like that, but like you mentioned that there's only 4 left. It didn't feel like it was 4 left. I'm gonna be real. I didn't even notice. And I'm like, oh, and then I remembered how this story ends. I'm like, oh, it's going to be hard to get there.
Yeah.
Especially, just to remind the anime onlys, they actually went back and like added a couple pages to the ending of the manga like a month or two later. And so that's even more content that they're going to have to try and squeeze in if they want to, in video game terms, use the true ending of Attack on Titan.
Right.
And ironically, that extended ending did not. People thought the original ending was way better. Ironically,
I'm a big fan of the original ending. Like, I really like how Attack on Titan ends.
I'm gonna be real. I don't even know if I ever read the original ending. It's like I read it late.
Hey, I guess we'll find out when the ending does happen, right?
I know, right?
Now, but here's the other thing, though. This is the other thing that, and of course, I think a lot of people that are anime onlys are going like, "What are they talking about?" Because I know they haven't read the manga, but like, especially seeing the preview for the next episode, I'm even more going like, "Do we have time for this? Like, do we have time for this?" So it's one of those things. I mean, so far, Map has done a great job. Like, they have taken their time with every single episode. Like, this episode, though not my favorite, we cannot say that it was rushed. We cannot say it had poor direction. Do we think that there maybe could have been more better narrative decisions? Maybe, but everybody has an opinion, right? But based on the fact that we have read the manga, we kind of like I'm overtly cautious, right? So I kind of, but then again, we might be proven wrong. Hopefully, we do have extended episodes or we have other stuff going on. And if we have now, and if they do movie wrap, which I know that the whole thing about ending in a movie has been like a rumor for the longest time now, and now it makes me think that it might be a possibility. I just hope that they do it like you said. They go the Avatar: The Last Airbender route, where the last episode is just going to be an hour or something like that, because you can do a lot with that time.
Yeah. Especially like if they go at like Avatar went full, the last episode was 2 hours long. It was the equivalent of 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is like, I feel like Attack on Titan's gonna need 8 episodes to make this a satisfying conclusion without like you can rush there. But being a manga reader has weird it puts you in a weird spot because you know how this is supposed to go. And now you're sitting here like, I hope they get this right. Because Isaac is very familiar. When we were doing My Hero Academia season 5 and My Villain Academia was out of order, Leo and I were just kind of sitting there week after week like, I don't know, y'all. We were just sitting there waiting and waiting.
kind of.
And like all my anime only friends loved season 5 of My Hero Academia, but all the manga readers hated season 5 of My Hero Academia. And so it's like, I wonder if you're going to get that disconnect where they cut content, but the anime onlys don't notice anyway. So they're fine with it. Whereas guys like us are going to be like, that was a little disappointing. I wish they kind of leaned hard on this thing.
It's funny that you all mentioned the movie and all that, yes. Weren't Perp, if you're still there, weren't they supposed to have something to announce during the time they are having a break? Or did I misremember anything wrong? That it was going to have something?
I'm going to fact check that for you.
Yeah, they were supposed to do an announcement while they go on because they go on break between the second to last and last episode, right? It's right in between.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe they are announcing a sequel / prequel series, or that it will end with a movie. And God, I hope not. They will do that because, well, it's well documented on how poorly they. I wouldn't say poorly. How poorly they distribute anime movies here in Sweden.
I feel like if it's gonna serve as the finale of the series, I feel like it would have to be. You have to go straight to Crunchyroll and Funimation and all that stuff right away, right? Like that would be messed
you
up
would assume so.
that.
You would assume so, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the last thing. Like we don't need them to pull a Best Buy where PS5s are behind a paywall. You know what I mean? We don't need that. We need the Attack on Titan finale now.
Okay, so comicbook.com is saying that they have an announcement that they want to make during that break. Speculation is that it's a movie, but of course nothing's been confirmed. So fingers crossed that's not it. Fingers crossed it's Boruto.
Let me text Suyama.
Why don't we just ask Eren? You know he's in control of everything anyway.
Exactly. Out of nowhere. Oh, guys. So guys, I just want you to know, everybody listening at home, if you notice that we go silent for 5 minutes, Eren's probably talking. Okay, so but yeah, I mean, anything else, guys? I mean, I think we've tackled pretty much the bulk of the episode and what we need to get and what we want to talk about. I said my fill. Have you guys set your fill?
I have regarding this episode. Let's just move on to the next one. I do have one more thing though. Yeah. That Levi Ackerman just won't die. Like, I don't think we've spent enough time. Just like, this dude survives everything you throw at him. It is wild, y'all. It's appreciation for Levi. That's all.
But here's the interesting thing though. This is the very first time that we see him this effed up. You know what I mean? Like, we've never seen Levi like hurt, like hurt. You know what I mean? And I think it's pretty much poetic justice at this point, because I mean, after Zeke getting his ass kicked constantly and abruptly, and after destroying every single Titan in his way by the same guy, I mean, it's like he went full what's the name of this Pokemon? He went full he went full Voltorb and just self-destructed. Like Zeke said, okay, I'm done. Self-destruct. Damn it, Levi. And then Levi's still around. It's like, so somewhere, you know how they say, like, if someone's talking about you, you're like, your ear itches or whatever.
Yeah.
So somewhere when Levi started talking, Zeke went, mother.
It's just bro. Like he just won't quit. And even if he can't fight in this final battle, it's just like, this dude is a leader through and through.
And you see now, I'm sorry, but you brought this on yourself, Mike. When you said what you just said, that's the kind of thing that goes like, I needed to see Levi like talking sense to these kids. You know what I mean? Just like he did with Hanji, right? Hanji, I kind of wanted that, or some allure, some direction of that. Like, I kind of needed that. But then again, we have another episode. They're gonna have a campfire. Things are gonna happen. Nothing to the band camp, but
it would have been. You see, it's moments like this where it's like, should we have saved Commander Irvin instead of Armin? You know, that's always going to be in the back of your mind.
Yep. So let's see. Are these the heroes that will save us? We'll see next time on Dragon Ball Z. No, sorry, wrong item. So guys, this is awesome. Attack on Titan final season. Guys, if you love what we do at Amateur Otaku every single week, make sure you click on the subscribe button, click on the like button, click on the bell for notifications so you do not miss any episodes of the Amateur Otaku podcast. You can find us also at Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter. And if you love listening to us, want to check out the podcast format, we have a lot of exclusive podcast episodes. Of a lot of the early stuff is there, and some of the other reviews that never made it to the YouTube channel. Check it out. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, Anchor, Stitcher. Check it out, guys. It'll be awesome. Mike Ackerman, where can we find you, man?
You can find me at Novice Cinephile everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, The Novice Cinephile on Instagram. As far as content coming up, I hope you guys like Batman, because everything's going to be Batman this week. We have a review coming up on Monday, both a 4-minute review, a 1-minute review, and a 20-minute review. Don't ask how all that happened, but I heard review like 5 times. Yeah, it's a lot of Batman reviews because the embargo lifts. I can't talk about whether the movie's good or bad, but you'll find out tomorrow. And of course, here with these guys at the Amateur Otaku, talking all things My Hero Academia. We just dropped our latest episode for My Hero Vigilantes, and we're dropping our episode of My Hero Academia, the manga, tomorrow. So that's always fun. Things are heating up in both. Both are coming to an end very soon. So get on that like you're here with Attack on Titan, the final season. But yeah, that's everything I got coming up this week. Oh, and Fully Coolly Progressive, which is just awesome. I don't know if the video for that's coming up this week because there's so much Batman content, but that episode's a beach episode, so we might just drop that on a random Wednesday. We'll see.
Because Wednesday is always a nice day to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Isaac, where can we find you, man?
Well, you can find me over at Emblemaniac on Twitter, my work on Webm Entertainment, and you can find the pod over the Amateur Otaku Pod. So
and you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram. Have it awesome, guys. See you next time. Peace.
Eren Jaeger.
Zeke.